Hi, I'm Alex Evans. I'm a licensed private investigator in Queensland and New South Wales since 2006. What I'm going to talk to you about today is basically kind of a day in my life as a private investigator, what I do, how I prepare for a job, how I prepare for safety, some of the equipment that I use, and then finally maybe a little bit into finishing up with some report writing and things like that. Basically, every job will start the same with some sort of a set of instructions. I'm not going anywhere or doing anything unless I've got written instructions. Make sure that you don't just get a phone call and then go do it, because you don't have any record of that written instructions. Once you have the written instructions, you've got the details such as the address where the person lives. So the first thing I'm going to do maybe is jump on Google. I'm going to Google that address, and this is all part of safety as well. When I'm going to an address, I want to see what sort of a street it is. Is it a nosy street? Are people going to harass me there for being there? Is it a street that's easy to exit? Is it a street that has more than one exit? Maybe I need another investigator. Maybe the street has multiple exits and I have to have another couple of investigators sitting there. So these are things that I've got to think about before I get there. What sort of a neighbourhood is it? Is it a rural area? Is it a built-up area? There's a big difference between doing an investigation for surveillance in the city of Brisbane compared to, say, a really rural area where there's nothing but farmland out there. If I'm driving my Nissan Navara around a farm area, it's no problem. If I'm driving my Nissan Navara around the middle of Brisbane doing laps, people start to notice. Same goes if I've got a Suzuki Swift and I head out to the mines, everyone's going to notice that vehicle. So it's just something to consider before I've even started the job. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some research on the actual subject, and sometimes I'll have a lot of intel, sometimes I'll have nothing more than a name. And what I want to do is take that name and I want to run it through Facebook, I want to run it through Instagram, I want to run it through Tumblr, I want to Google it. Do I have a phone number? I can Google that phone number, I can put that number through Facebook. I'm going to find out everything I possibly can about this person. Now, most people are going to have things on private, or they're going to have it locked down pretty well, but you occasionally do get lucky. What you can also do is go through searches. If you found nothing on the person, but you do find some family members, some friends, some close friends are really good like that, you can then go ahead and have a quick look through their stuff, because sometimes friends and family will lead you towards the person that you're after. Then I'm probably going to talk to you a little bit about some of the applications that I use on my phone. Really important. One of the most important applications that I have on my phone that I use for all of my jobs is WhatsApp. If you don't have WhatsApp, you should download it. What WhatsApp does is it has several uses, including you can send high quality videos and footage straight to your client. You can send your location, either just a one-off shot of your location, or you can live feed your location straight to a client, which is really useful if your subject starts moving. Your client wants to know where they go in real time, you can send that straight to them. You can also have group chats. Maybe you've got 4, 5, 6 investigators working on one job. Instead of sending out 4, 5 or 6 text messages, you can just send it to the WhatsApp group. Everybody knows what's going on straight away. You can also easily edit photos by putting circles around things you want to draw attention to. It's a great app and I suggest everyone gets it. If you want to convince a client or someone that you're working with to get WhatsApp, just list off some of those points that I just made to try to convince them, and they should be on board pretty quickly. It's very easy to get. It just links up with your phone number as soon as you downloaded it. Then I'm going to go on about some of the other things such as Instagram, Facebook. Okay, so we've already talked a little bit about that, but what we're looking for in Facebook and Instagram is where they like to go, where they might be right now. I had a job yesterday where this person was supposed to live in Tweed Heads, and both subject and friends and family all said they lived somewhere else. So that's really important information to know before you even start the job, because you might be starting the job in the wrong location. Instagram's great because people tend to be a little bit more open about what they're doing on Instagram. People tend to put their geotag on a photo. So someone might have geotagged a photo to be at a certain place within the last 4 hours, and you can go check that out straight away. You can screenshot that, you can send it to the client. They'll really appreciate that level of live feeding information. As far as equipment goes, I'll bring a fair bit of equipment with me on a job. So I'm going to go through some of that now, and then I'm going to tell you why a lot of that equipment isn't that important. Number one would be my camera. The main focus of my camera, which is a big handheld camera, well, not very big, but it is a handheld camera, is if I'm really far away, because you're not going to be carrying that around, sticking it in someone's face from a close distance. But if I'm really far away and I can get a good zoom, you know, if I'm a couple of 100 meters away, that's great for that. Then I'm going to have, next piece of important equipment would probably be a dash cam. Dash cams are important for people. Let's say you've got a subject who says, oh, I've got a back injury, I can't drive for more than 5 minutes. The dash cam will capture them getting into the car, driving, how many minutes, where they drove to, and getting out of the car. And then you might be able to ID them with some other equipment that you have as well. But if you didn't have that, it wouldn't happen. They could easily say, no, I stopped every 5 minutes and got out of the car and had a stretch or something like that. You want to have chargers for every piece of equipment you have, or power banks, okay? Chargers, you can just go into your cigarette lighter, or you can buy yourself an inverter. Power banks, I've got 3 or 4 of them just sitting around at all times. That charges my laptop, that charges my phone, that charges my iPad, all that sort of thing. You want to have a jump starter for your car, okay? This happened to me just yesterday. My battery was dead and I needed a jump start, and even my jump starter was flat, so make sure you're prepared for that situation. I have throughout my car a whole bunch of magnets or Velcro, okay? And the reason for that is I want to be able to know where all my equipment is at all times. I might have a 3-hour job and my window for getting some footage or whatever's going to happen might be 3 seconds. So I need to be able to reach for my phone, my camera, my dash cam, whatever I need to reach for, and have it ready and open and recording within that 3 seconds can be very difficult if you've dropped your camera or your phone on the floor. I also will carry a radio. Okay, the reason I'm carrying a radio is not necessarily to speak on. Let's say, for an example, you're following a security guard or a truck driver or someone who works in a factory. By turning that radio on and getting to the channel that they're on, you can gather yourself a lot of useful intelligence really quickly. Again, not necessarily for talking on. Some investigators use them to communicate between themselves so they can get fast communication, but you can do that through WhatsApp just as easily as well. The other thing I might bring a high visibility vest. I might, but the reason that I say might is some people will leave you alone if you're wearing a high visibility vest, depending on the street. Some people will wonder what you're up to and what you're doing there more because you're wearing a high visibility vest. And the reason is there's been a lot of scams of people going door to door pretending to be tradesmen or Telstra or something like that. And you just want to be careful about what neighborhood you're in, where you're trying that. If you're in a industrial area, chances are people will leave you alone. If you're in a quiet street and you're the only person wearing it, chances are people are going to notice you even more. As far as safety goes, again, this comes down to what you do before the job, what you do during the job, and what you do after the job, okay? So what I mean by that is your safety before the job, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to go on Google Maps, we're going to make sure that we can make an escape from that street if we have to. We're going to find out what sort of street. We're going to find out what sort of person we're looking at. Okay, and you can tell pretty quickly just by someone's Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, you can often tell pretty quickly whether or not that person is going to be someone that you would need to be cautious of, someone that you might need to make an escape from quickly and that sort of thing. Okay, once I'm there, park yourself in a position where you can easily get out if you need to. Don't park in the person's lounge room, okay? And just make sure that you have a plan of escape and make sure that you have an alibi as to why you're there, okay? So that you can easily get out of there. Now I said also after, what did I mean by that? Well, you are not out of a dangerous situation until you are safely home. It's no good of you being in a dangerous situation, then driving 10 meters down the street and saying you're out of the dangerous situation. So what I mean by after is make sure you're home, safe, okay? Make sure that your own social media is completely locked down so that no one can go and grab your details off that. Should they have somehow found out what your name is or some other sort of detail like that.